Thank you, Ms. Dr. Woodruff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd rise to make some comments about a development application at Fire Tower Road in Koonya on the Tasman Peninsula, which had submissions that closed today to the Tasman Council. And it has caused a great deal of concern amongst local residents who have come to understand the scale of this development application and have come to realise, unfortunately, that the Tasmanian planning scheme has been written and designed to ensure that they don't get to have a proper assessment of the full impacts of this project. So they have listed a huge range of issues with this development, which is intending to build a polo field and facilities, a vineyard, a cellar door, a visitor accommodation, car parking, and will involve vegetation removal. That, Madam Speaker, needs to be put into the context of being on a property which is located on a very narrow rural road which has a very small number of residents on it. And it is a large-scale development that has no place in the backroad rural area that it intends to establish within, which is enjoyed at the moment by small-scale farmers and residents who have lived there for, some of them, for generations. But the planning scheme, as written, does not provide the opportunity for people to make comment about social impacts, does not provide the environmental assessments which ought to be done on a development of this scale in this particular landscape. It does not, for example, there has been no environmental values assessment that is required for this development, despite the fact that it is nearly surrounded by landscape that has habitat for the Tasmanian devil and the threatened wedge-tailed eagles, and despite the fact that vegetation clearing will be required. It is a small, narrowed, unsealed road that services the lot. There would be a large volume of tourists that this development would seek to attract, according to what they've stated, the proponents stated in the application. And it would involve a substantial increase in traffic, including, of course, heavy vehicles during construction. If it was completed and running as proposed, the development claims to be accommodating nearly 40 guests a night, which would more than double the entire population of residents that are currently residing on the Fire Tower Road. But this is, again, questioned by the residents who have looked into the submission, because there is no detail at all provided about the vineyard and the cellar door. There's no plan and there's no infrastructure that's been detailed for that ostensibly important part of the application. So the validity of that as the purpose for the proposal has been questioned. It's located in a rural resource area and that makes it inappropriate to have a polo field and inappropriate to have accommodation. But because they're hanging off the only part of the development application which has got any legs in the planning scheme in that rural resource zone, which is the vineyard, these things are sort of clustered around the vineyard as though they're part of the vineyard package. So, Madam Speaker, what residents are making very clear is that there has been no capacity for them to comment about the things which really matter, including the water resource for the project. Koonya, the whole of the Tasman Peninsula, is well understood to be a very dry place, and the water source at the top of Grey Mountain is is it the right? Is it the right mountain? It is called
Mount Clark and Mount Koonya.
Mount Clark. Sorry, it was in Signet mode. Mount Clark and Mount Koonya have a water lens, which is it's a finite resource, and it has plenty of users already calling on the finite capacity of that lens. So, particular issues looking to the future about water availability and whether and where such developments would source their water from is incredibly important to residents who have to share that increasingly diminishing resource under climate heating. So, Madam Speaker, this development is in train with the Council, but it raises issues for residents in the area, issues that we've spoken about in this place numbers of times, which is the flaws in the Tasmanian planning scheme that don't give community a meaningful say about developments that are happening in their own areas, that don't allow for appeals to be taken in a way that is open to all people, that is a cost that can be borne. The cost of going to the Resource Management and Appeals Tribunal is very expensive, is often usually in the tens of thousands of dollars. So it is important to have appeals which are available to everyone in the community, so that decisions can be challenged if they're not based on correct information and adequate information. There clearly appears to be some really huge questions for this development. We wait and hear what the Council determines, but we need to be able to understand the environmental impacts of projects like this.